Hi, everyone, and welcome to The Conversations, a show brought to you by Wiley, a global leader in research and education publishing. This series is about exploring the biggest opportunities in the world of academic publishing. It's about asking tough questions and getting into meaningful debate about where our industry needs to go. Now, let's start the conversation. Hi, and welcome to The Conversations. I'm Jay Flynn at Wiley. I've got Miriam from Institute of Physics Publishing to my right, Colleen from Clarke Esposito, and Steve from the American College of Rheumatology. When did you realize that society publishing was a thing?
My first job was at the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants. And we were at the time trying to redefine what it was to be a CPA. And it felt really inspirational, pivotal, and it kind of set the trajectory of my career. And I've been, in one way or another, working with society since.
So I started at the American College of Rheumatology. Actually, was my first job out of school, and we had abstracts back in those days, and people sent their abstracts via FedEx or fax, and then I had to take them and sort them and do everything like we do everything digitally now.
What about you, Miriam?
I first learned that societies exist when I started my publishing career in a company called Blackwell. Back in the 1990s, and Blackwell at the time was really specializing in publishing on behalf of learned societies. All my publishing career have had a connection to societies, and now I work for a society publisher.
As you think about the changes that are happening, are certain societies at an advantage right now? Do they have structural advantages?
I think the societies that have strong business leaders at the publishing home make a really big difference, right? They're commercially minded. They understand that even if you're part of a association with a nonprofit mission, you're competing against some very powerful and large commercial entities in some ways, right? But there's that sort of commercial acumen. I think that's one. I think two is they understand that scale and investment matters.
Right. Right.
Right, and they're very, very focused on developing the strategies that are going to give them competitive advantage.
Is that intuitive for most of your clients, or is that a large part of the value that you guys try to bring to them?
I think more people are waking up to the commercial realities.
Right.
They're seeing lost market share.
Right.
They might be seeing the economics changing, and they're realizing they have to behave differently, right? And so we're definitely seeing more knocks on the door. Are they at a place where they should be investing and scaling and growing? Do they need to look for partnerships? It's a real moment, I think, for a lot of association executives to think really strategically about their journal portfolio.
Do you think that a lot of these executives have that kind of professional experience? So in other words, do they understand what they need?
Not always. Sometimes what you'll have at the helm of an association is a skilled scientist, a professional who's absolutely brilliant at their topic, but less well-versed in the economics of publishing.
So at IOP, we're splitting to IOP Publishing, the publishing business, and the Institute of Physics, the society. And that is a setup that allows us at IOP Publishing to really make those commercial decisions, be strategic around publishing. We answer to a board of directors, not the council of the society. So that distinction between a subject matter expert and a publishing expert, I experienced that at work. Mm-hmm. That has really helped us navigate those difficult changes we have to make investment choices that help the publishing organization, which then in turn helps the society.
Are publishers set up, societies set up, to really make this transformation? And what are their top couple challenges on the tech side that you're seeing?
I think the first challenge is some publishers simply don't have the scale, right? Mm-hmm. And so whether that's Salesforce, marketing individuals, technology scale, they just simply don't have the scale. Right. And I think that's a reality why many societies partner with commercial publishers for that reason. I think the biggest challenge we often see is societies not really investing in their core technology to engage with their community and their audience. Right. Their members love them, but they're engaging with brands every single day that they're used to having highly engaged, highly personalized, highly relevant experiences, particularly if you're dealing with early career professionals.
Sure.
That is so true. I feel that traditionally the society was the members came to meetings, the members published in the journals. There was a sort of very defined community that you knew because you could see them at various events. That is changing. In IOP Publishing's case, we publish in physics. The world's largest funder in physics is China. A lot of our authors, reviewers, editors are not based in the UK or in Europe, they are based in Asia. How do we engage with that community if we don't know really how they come to us, if we don't understand, kind of, are they authors, are they reviewers, are they members? Engagement used to be much more sort of on a one personal level. It's now a lot more high scale. And Colleen is absolutely right. You need to invest in technologies and skills and capabilities to understand what that means for you to be successful.
On your platforms, but also, as you say, Jay, on channels where your community is, like WeChat in China.
It's a totally different ecosystem. It's really hard for a smaller society to scale. One of the things that Wiley we're trying to do is we offer this sort of a la carte set of services that allow societies to maintain their independence, but then we also do the full partnership. But one of the things we worry about as an observer and as the largest society publisher is that independence possible or sustainable in the medium term with all the changes?
I would say you can partner and remain independent. You can partner to solve a particular technology problem. You can partner to get some expertise, and that seems to me a model that has legs in the society publishing world. Stick to the core activities that the society does, and where the subject expertise, the community knowledge really matters, editorial control, etc. But look for opportunities to fill the gaps you may have internally in terms of knowledge and capability.
I mean, that is something at Wiley we see as viable as well. We made this big commitment to trying to keep both tracks available to folks, and yet, even at our scale, we struggle to keep up with all the changes all the time. How do we modernize and how do we improve? How do you get folks to come along on this transformation journey?
To do well in this environment, you need to understand what is driving the behavior of the people you work with and then find that common ground. Find a change that actually responds to the demands of the world out there rather than the demands of the journal or the society or the publisher.
The volunteer-led organizations sometimes have less scale.
Yeah.
What needs do they have that are different?
Yeah, I mean, it's helping them think through what that strategy should be, what the focus areas should be. When should they remain independent? When should they partner? What does that investment roadmap look like? And maybe they do need to bring in some other staff members that come from more of a commercial kind of background.
Mm-hmm.
I would say also that if you're talking about like small versus large, I don't know if that's what you mean by volunteer versus professionally led. I think some of the smaller ones have a great opportunity to be much more flexible in making change happen. Whereas when you have a larger organization that has a lot of, like you say, professional people, then getting them all to change or agree to change is much more difficult.
You are a larger organization, you have a large professional team, but as the leader, what keeps you up at night?
We were having issues with the turnaround time. When people submit a manuscript and when it gets published for some of our journals, was taking a long time. And so that's what we had to address. And the same thing goes with anything else that we do. Is there another way to do it? Is there another company that could do it for us better? If that's the case, that's fine, but that's a difficult thing to do. So those kinds of changes are hard.
Yeah, I think the challenge that I observe with a lot of smaller, medium-sized organizations is being able to prioritize effectively, especially if you work in a mission-led, purpose-driven organization that's very community-focused. There is a tendency to want to do everything and to continue to do everything because there's always somebody there who loves the way something has always been done. Really being clear about where your community, where your activities, where your priorities need to lie is absolutely crucial, and that often is a challenge to decide what you don't want to do anymore, because you need to do this new thing with the same amount of resources, and that is what I really observe in small and medium-sized organizations as a challenge.
It's hard to get to focus if you're leading with consensus.
Yep.
right? And so it can't be consensus. It has to be a really strategic look at your mission, at your community needs, at the commercial and financial realities. And as you said, Steve, the options. What does it look like if we do it ourselves? What does it look like if we outsource? What does it look like if we partner? What are the pros and cons of each of those models?
So how do you get them to move faster in those consensus-based? And you know, discourse is a feature, right? Not a bug of the way academic progress and scholarly progress gets made.
You need to have at the helm, volunteer or not, someone with a bold vision and a strong ability to communicate. In my experience, being on the marketing side of the fence, everybody thinks they can do marketing. And you know, it's a craft like anything, anything else. And often I've found even the most entrenched editor, when they're presented with evidence and data and really walked through the change journey, and you, as you said, Miriam, fully understand where they're coming from. You're not just speaking at them, you're having a real conversation, but you have to have somebody at the helm who's willing to do that and who's got that bold vision.
It's about bringing the academics, the volunteers, the editors, the society publishing professionals, consultants from outside, publishers together to work a problem. What's your top 3 problems right now?
So I would say technology and data is the big one. The amounts of data that are available for us as an organization, the amount of data we have on our members that we don't use. If we could harness some of that, then we would be able to do a lot better with enticing some of those people to either become members or to kind of participate, engage with the ACR. I think the second one is just the sustainability and the kind of the systems that are in place in healthcare in general.
Right.
So, you know, reimbursement, the way people are getting reimbursed, academic centers are struggling, people out in practice are, well, I say struggling, but you know, the environment's changing.
The research integrity crisis remains at the top. I mean, it's almost boring to talk about it, but it is absolutely still the biggest challenge we face. Geopolitics, very international, author-based, colleague-based. What does that mean for the future? And the third one is, of course, AI. And there I'm on the fence whether it's an opportunity or a challenge or both.
Yes.
But working out where you play in that AI space, that is probably my third biggest issue.
So let's get into the research integrity thing for a second. First and foremost, can you describe for everybody like what the reality is?
The deal is that at the moment, we are seeing submissions increasing staggeringly. We get a load more submissions than we got 5-6 years ago, but the quality of the submission has not held up.
Is that because the marketing's too good?
Always, always, Jack.
But seriously, when you think about the tech transformation that has to happen, does that include a change in the weeding out of submissions earlier?
Rarely does somebody want more submissions. They want more quality submissions. And the way to get quality submissions is to have real good fundamental data so you know who you're targeting. Right. You're targeting the right researchers that you want to publish in your portfolio. And so you need the technology stacks that help you do that are identifying individuals, that tell you what other things that a person has published with you or with other reputable publishers, if they're a member in your association. You can't spray and pray marketing anymore, right? It has to be highly targeted, highly personalized, and you're attracting the right authors.
Okay.
It's not hard to get submissions. It's hard to get the right quality submissions.
I think there's another side to that coin, which is, yes, absolutely, you want the quality submissions to come to you, but you also want to deter the low quality or flawed submissions, and that is as much of a challenge as getting the quality. And you know, kind of, you want the reputation to have really good research integrity checks and processes. So there's no point spamming your journal with hundreds of flawed submissions, because you will get desk rejected. Right. That's the goal, to play that right. So and putting your marketing and your brand message out there to support those dual goals is absolutely key.
Good research integrity is now part of your brand.
Yeah.
It's got to be.
Got to be.
Yeah.
Yep.
How much time do you spend personally thinking about research integrity?
I think that's really more of something that our various committees think about a lot about, and so they have ways to combat that. They do a lot of mentorship, for example, teaching people the correct way to do things. But we do have these, when you think of globally, we have all these people who are not members of the ACR because it's a U.S.-based organization who are constantly submitting things. I don't know. I think we rely heavily on our publishing partners to help us with screening those kinds of things out.
What kind of investments do societies need to make in data, and how do you convince people it's the right thing to do?
I think the first thing to acknowledge is a lot of associations have a large amount of technical debt. And that's an incredibly difficult conversation to have, that if you're looking to really get your data in very, very good shape, you probably do need a data lake or a data warehouse. And I know, Miriam, you know that very well. You have excellent data.
It's not me personally.
Right, that's what I was going to say.
But that also doesn't allow you to market. Right? You still need the appropriate marketing technology on top of that allows you to personalize and engage and et cetera. So, it can be a difficult conversation. And I would just add that technology is maybe a quarter of it. There's no point in bringing in fancy new technology if you do not have the skills or the staff to do things with it. If you don't have people who understand how to data model, your data lake will become unhygienic incredibly quickly. If you don't have the marketing people that know how to segment and personalize and test at scale, you'll have invested in fancy marketing technology and have blunt marketing creatives, right? So it's not just about the technology, it's also about the skills and the organization and the process.
So the hard part of all of that is then having a conversation with your members or your board who doesn't understand all that, and you say, this is how much it's going to cost. And they're like, do we really need to do that, or do we need to go that far?
So how do we navigate these tensions? It's like short-term, long-term.
I'm coming back to priorities and stop doing some things. And colleagues, teams, skills and expertise is a really good example. You need to look at the kind of skills you need. Data literacy is absolutely essential these days. Not everybody in a traditional society or publishing organization has data literacy. So understand how you bring the people that are in your organization up, hire some new expertise, and think about things that you may not want to do in the future. Traditionally, the sort of the move away from print has been a great opportunity to release some resources and invest them into newer digital skills. So look for those opportunities, because it's hard to see that revenues and income from publishing or other society activities will increase significantly over the next few years. So you have to be really clear about what you need most urgently.
It may mean some hard decisions have to be made. We'll see organizations with high technical debt and a large need to invest, and there's pushback on that investment, and they're still spending tons of money on marketing that frankly hasn't been effective for a decade. Right? So some of this is making really hard choices and investing more strategically.
Is it easier for you to have that conversation with a society or association than it is for, let's say, me to have that conversation with them? Like, do they believe you more than they believe their publisher?
I think it's going to depend society by society, but certainly consultants bring that cross-industry perspective and that objectivity that clients value.
Right. It feels like it's something we all need to work together on, because historically we haven't been in the MarTech business, but the needs that we have as a publisher ourselves overlap very heavily, and we're making tons of investments in these areas. What do you think the single biggest opportunity there might be?
I think one of the challenges in general with a society working with a commercial partner, irregardless of who that commercial partner might be, is the fragmentation at the society level. Right? If I was at the helm, a CMO of a society, what would be really important to me is that unified data view, not having my publishing over here, my membership over there. Anything that can facilitate me having that view of my entire community would be really important to me.
Okay.
Not continuing the fragmentation. I mean, I'm of the view that in general societies are a little too siloed. and they need to be thinking it's one community, it's one audience base. To your point, Miriam, before about focus, part of the reason society cost bases are maybe in some cases higher than they need to be is fragmentation. I mean, that's another lever to think about how you might sort of be more efficient in coming together as sort of one organization.
Revenue can solve a lot of problems. It can help you pay down your tech debt. It can give you options for the future. Talk to me about ways you're looking to diversify revenue, or you've successfully diversified your revenue.
So a lot of things that we are doing are related to some of the tried and true things that we've done in the past, but just taking a different approach. One of the things that a lot of, let's say our pharma sponsors want is they want engagement with the members themselves. Yep. So we create in the exhibit hall an innovation lab where they get to kind of go into this, meeting room, and it's everybody meeting together, everybody talking together. That's the kind of things they want. That's the kinds of things they're willing to pay for. That's much more than buying an ad somewhere or putting up a banner somewhere in a hall, right? And I think that's what we're creatively trying to think of. How can we do that?
Yeah, we have a lot of conversations with societies who want to grow commercial revenues, right? I think that's where most of the revenue growth is, whether it's AI licensing or innovative commercial sponsorship and advertising revenues. That's where the greenfield is.
Yep.
And it does involve being incredibly innovative about your product formats, rethinking the assets you have. Magazines, for example, or news magazines, newspapers are often under commercialized assets at associations. We find that very, very often. But sometimes it's hard questions about policy. There's a revenue trade-off between sharing more data and being very member-friendly, and understanding where you can be on that spectrum is really important.
We completely agree with that assessment, that both on the R&D side in corporations, but also on the partnership and audience side, the interplay between society membership, what they're doing at meetings, the access to those members. It does come back to data, but it also comes back to policy.
Yep.
And I do think as we evolve together to look for new ways to grow, pay down the tech debt, do whatever, it's going to be a discussion that keeps coming up. Do you feel like folks with the publishing experience are consulted enough in these conversations?
That's a slightly tricky question for me to answer, because we are so separate in that way. I would say that the policy questions come up when the members are impacted by anything we do.
The interaction with the members.
Yes, exactly. So Colleen mentioned magazines. So we do, as a publishing house, produce the magazine that goes to every member of the society. And that is an opportunity for us to experiment with new corporate sales models, replacing that traditional ad revenue that Steve talked about. But there we have to be mindful of the fact that the membership of the society has an expectation of what their magazine would be like, right, and really find that common ground. Other than that, I don't think we have a lot of conversations about revenue diversification for the group writ large. We are the biggest funder of the society, so they do rely on our surplus to fulfill their mission, and that informs internal discussions at IOP Publishing. So we want to invest, of course, but it has to be done in the context of being able to provide funds to our owner.
How do we work with society leaders? Because I'm not hearing a lot of societies say, you know what I need to do is I need to go buy that new MarTech stack right now.
My experience actually is a little bit different to that. My experience is that the society, the Institute of Physics, really understands how important it is to modernize in publishing, to make sure the publishing business is competitive. Of course, there are then trade-offs to be made, because you can only spend money once, and if we spend it on investments in our technology, that means there will be less surplus to go to the society. But my experience has been that there's a high degree of understanding how important it is to keep us as a competitive player.
I was going to say, kind of pivoting, if it's okay, Jay, back to the other question. We were talking about revenue diversification and talked about data and we talked about policy. I think the sort of third leg in that stool is also content and product innovation. We're seeing a lot of associations really start thinking about two things. One is how they might repackage their content slightly differently.
Right.
You kind of talk about that, Steve, with your innovation idea.
Right.
And the other is, if you think about associations, how many of them have real product teams? Product marketing.
But you know, they don't have that mindset of like develop a product.
Product
do
discipline.
The research, the market research, all the stuff that has to go into like, we know what, this isn't going to work. Let's not do this. It's let's do this and let's try it and let's see what happens and then we'll worry about.
But
the
how are they
marketing
going to figure it out? I mean, like that's a craft too.
Yeah, they're either going to need to think about the resources they need or partner with organizations that can help them. But product, whether it's product development, product management, product marketing, is a real skill. And if you're creating and launching a new product, you need that kind of skill to bring it into the market effectively. But we're starting to see associations think a little bit more about product innovation than I've seen in a while.
Who do you think is the best example of that in the society space?
ASCO has done phenomenal stuff on the commercial advertising side, right?
Yeah.
The products
But also
they're
the
bringing
guideline
out,
side.
the guideline side, right? They had that new AI guideline product that came out recently, super cool. HIMSS has done a really good example of sort of innovating, creating really a content apparatus that you could argue part of HIMSS is a digital marketing agency now. They've gotten so good at it for other other sort of entities that want to use their digital marketing and content apparatus.
Do you feel like you're resourced to do that?
And I think this is a lot of societies. They create these programs and products because the members need them. And so let's just give it to them. If they're a member, then they get it. As opposed to like, should it cost something? Like, is there a price that should be put on some of these things? And if we put a price on it, well, what if nobody buys it? Well, then that tells us we shouldn't have launched it in the first place, right? If there's no value, that they're not even going to pay for it. You know, we have seen the financial pressure of, like I said, post-COVID financial pressures have started to allow us to then have these kind of conversations where we just can't launch every single one of these products. Some of them are, going to be valuable and people will want them, and some of them won't. So you think of it from two ways. One is from the members, which members will want to use that product, but then are there other companies or other sponsors who want to then sponsor that product, right?
I think that the other piece that I really spend a lot of time thinking about is the social impact of AI. We hear from a lot of our younger employees. We hear from a lot of our society partners. What about the environmental cost of AI? What about the social impact of this on writing, on learning, on teaching? I don't know that any of us have answers for that. But what do you guys think about that?
I think a concern I have about AI is that in the environment we're in, where resources are constrained, everybody's looking for solutions to pretty big problems. And if you read it fast, AI could be the solution to many of our problems: automation, identifying problematic content, helping editors making decisions. Wouldn't it be wonderful if all of that could be somehow automated? And the temptation is to really lean into this and think this is going to be the future of how we do publishing. Where I'm hesitating a little bit is, at the moment, what I haven't seen is a solution that really creates those efficiencies and that effectiveness. And that is where I think we as publishers, societies, can play a role in saying, okay, we understand there's an opportunity here, but we can't create a massive creativity deficit that years later we then have another crisis at our hands. So there's a real, I think there's a lot to think about. There's a lot of opportunity, but we need to take one step at a time. There's a little bit of a temptation to rush into it.
Yeah.
And I think it depends on the industry you're in. It depends on what field you're in. Some are going to rush much faster than others. Some will be much more cautious.
And I'm wondering, like, if somebody enters society publishing today, what's their version of that going to be? Like, what are they going to be looking back on 20 years from now going, gosh, do you remember when we used to? I think they're going to look at the tool set that we're using today, and they're going to just be like, I can't believe we used to do this. What do you think?
I think certainly on the marketing side, they're not going to believe that human beings did certain things that agentic AI agents are going to do outside of our industry. Right. What's happening in marketing is remarkable with AI. Mm-hmm. Remarkable.
On a similar theme, I think they're going to think, I can't believe they put up with those technology interfaces and systems and how user unfriendly they are compared to some of the consumer digital
Oh my God.
experiences.
Yeah.
So I think it's also the amount of time and effort and the number of people that have to do certain things,
Yeah.
right? Like in the future, I could see, a group of 5 people in a department, and there's like one person doing it now and going, I don't know why they had to have 5 people do this.
Yeah, I agree. I also don't think the society of the future will be structured the same way, right? I think to a certain extent, if you look outside of our industry, often organizations are structured differently than societies are, and I think we're going to gravitate closer to other industries outside in terms of, we've had this conversation, right? The importance of marketing and digital leadership at the table, the importance of data skills, the importance of an association thinking more holistically, maybe busting their silos, as I like to say. I think they're going to look radically different. New teams oriented around AI. I don't think we'll recognize the structures.
I want to talk about the big strategic advantage that societies have over everybody else. Like, what's the thing that's going to keep them uniquely suited to survive, evolve, thrive in the future?
I think the societies that are closest to their community and are serving them, will have a unique advantage over other organizations that don't have those community ties.
I agree with that. I would say that it is helpful when you make decisions, small, big, strategic, tactical, to have that filter of, does it help the community? Does it help my subject area? That's really the ultimate question that should be underlying everything. And if you have that discipline to really think, is this making the life of my community better?
Yeah.
The answer is yes, go for it. If the answer is no, think about something else you could do.
If you think how effective brands are, right? We choose to purchase things, we choose to do certain things because the association of the brand. And societies have such an ability, an amazing brand with their community.
Yeah. Totally.
So in my mind, the brand is how people experience, not all the things that you say, right? It's how people experience you. And so for us, we have a brand promise and we have a commitment that we're here for you so you can be there for your patients. And that's the key takeaway, right?
I've heard you talk about members a lot. And I think my question for you is, like, do you think the membership is your secret sauce? Like, is it the thing that really sets, say, a society publisher apart from a for-profit?
It's interesting, there's a lot of business decisions when it comes to publishing that can be made that could be done just for, let's make more money or let's, have a wider audience. Sure. But for us, a lot of times I take the kind of perspective of, we're here to provide a platform for our members to publish and to, disseminate their research. And so in my mind, that's, again, our mission is empowering those professionals. That's really what we're here for. Making money and doing some of those other things is great. It's important because we can't do all the other stuff that we want to do. But that's really the most important part.
Everybody, it's been really fun. Thank you for spending some time with us this afternoon. Thanks again.